In the beginning, there was only darkness. Then, a sudden flash of light appeared, bringing noise, chaos, time, and movement. From this light, life was created, and among the strongest were beings who called themselves the Shining Ones. They became leaders of all life, but their growing power angered darkness, which could no longer tolerate the light. To counter the beings of light, the darkness created an army of order, led by its champion, Pentaminum, the strongest of all beings. He was the guardian of order born from darkness. Pentaminum hunted down the Shining Ones, defeating them and sealing their essence into jewels instead of destroying them. Though he conquered them, he had fallen in love with the beauty of these jewels and was captivated by them. He embedded the shining jewels into his own body, declaring himself the Jewels King. Pentaminum, now known as the Jewels King, stood above all living beings in the world, feared as the one who had swallowed the light. The world trembled before him and his followers. But then a child was born, a shining one, carrying the light of those who had once opposed Pentaminum. A woman found the infant and recognized the truth. The Shining Ones who had been defeated by the Jewels King lived on within this child. She declared that the child was the only one capable of standing against Pentaminum, the only one hope left. The child's name was Urek Mazino. Urek Mazino suddenly finds himself inside the tower after chasing Pentaminum. Confused and frustrated, he demands answers. A masked being appears and tells him he has earned the right to climb the tower, making him a regular one chosen to challenge its trials. The being explains that climbing the tower offers the chance to gain everything, since all things exist at the top. Urek, eyes burning with determination, asks if that includes Pentaminum. The masked figure doesn't deny it, admitting that it's possible. With no other way forward and still chasing Pentaminum, Urek decides to enter. He declares that since he arrived here by following Pentaminum, he'll climb the tower to continue the pursuit. The masked being opens the path, encouraging him to challenge the tower and promising that it will not reject him. As Urek steps forward, he is welcomed by the name Urek Mazino. A floating city introduces the test floor. 400 people are gathered there. The rules are announced. They must fight and kill each other until only 200 remain. If the number doesn't drop from 400 to 200 within 1 hour, there will be consequences. Hiding or running away is useless. The order is clear. Just kill them all. The deadly survival game begins. The deadly test begins and chaos erupts. A muscular fighter brutally attacks others, showing no mercy. Amid the fighting, a boy struggles, swinging his sword, barely holding on. He is knocked down and nearly finished off by a savage opponent with a massive blade. Just as he's about to be killed, a girl intervenes and saves him, defeating the attacker. When he tries to thank her, she calmly says there's no need. She then urges him to keep moving. The girl introduces herself as Lopobia Evelyn, marking her a significant figure in this brutal survival game. The boy decides his best chance of survival is to stick to Evelyn, trusting her strength. As they move through the battlefield, they notice a terrifying opponent, a multi-armed fighter tearing through groups of people at once. Evelyn points out how many enemies he's handling, recognizing both the danger and the opportunity. Seeing this, the boy realizes it's their chance to act. Evelyn then charges in, showing no hesitation. She strikes the monster-like opponent with precise and brutal attacks, cutting through his defenses and leaving him screaming in pain. With her overwhelming power, she finishes him off without mercy. Afterward, Evelyn calmly tells the boy, "Let's go." Together, they continue forward as the chaos of the test ranges around them. The boy and Evelyn spot a girl standing high on a hill. Evelyn recognizes her immediately. She is a princess of Zahard. The boy is stunned, having only heard rumors of the princesses before, and Evelyn curses their bad luck for being in the same test as someone so overwhelmingly powerful. Despite her fear, she admits the princess is beautiful, just as the stories claimed, which stirs Evelyn's own insecurities. Still, the princess radiates deadly authority. Suddenly, the princess draws her weapon. Evelyn shouts for the boy to get down as a devastating strike tears across the battlefield, cutting down dozens at once. Blood and bodies fall everywhere from a single attack. The boy, wide-eyed and trembling, stares in disbelief. How could she do that all in one move and against so many people at once? The power of a princess of Zahara has been fully revealed, leaving them both shaken. Amid the chaos of the test, a strange boy is spotted lying in the grass, fast asleep in casual clothes. Other participants are confused. How could someone be sleeping in such a deadly situation? A group decides to take advantage, joining forces to kill him. They surround him, mock him, and even kick him, shouting for him to wake up. But the boy barely stirs, mumbling that he just wants to sleep. When they finally attack, everything flips. With impossible speed, the boy dodges and counters, sending his attackers flying and brutally striking them down. His sleepy face hides a terrifying strength, and his red glowing eyes reveal his true nature. Even then, he complains about being disturbed, saying all he wants is to sleep more. After knocking one opponent out cold, he casually scratches his head, mutters that the disturbance is gone, and decides to go back to sleep as if nothing had happened. After early dispatching the group that tried to kill him, Urek comes face to face with the princess. She steps forward confidently, weapon in hand, her aura sharp and commanding. Instead of reacting with tension, Urek casually asks if she's trying to ask him on a date, brushing off the seriousness of the encounter. The princess enforces the rules of the game, reminding him that survival means killing. She even restrains another fighter and offers to kill on his behalf. But Urek declines flatly, saying he doesn't need help. When she pushes him on why he refuses to kill, Urek answers simply, "Why should I follow the rules? I'm a freeman." Frustrated, the princess raises her blades to his throat, warning that his foolish way of thinking will get him killed. She declares, "I'll kill you." Urek, calm and unshaken, replies, "You can't do that." Yet in the middle of a deadly standoff, Urek's thoughts betray his carefree nature. He notices her beauty, thinking to himself, "She's super pretty, though." His face flashes, and when accused of avoiding her out of fear, he awkwardly admits, "No, I actually can't handle pretty girl." As the survival test continues, with a little time left, and most people still hiding, Urek decides to act. Instead of attacking the others, he points toward the cube-shaped test lighthouse in the sky. Confidently, Urek calls out to it, demanding it come down. He boldly declares, "I'll catch you, and this foolishness test will end." The princess is stunned by his recklessness. She warns him that the lighthouse belongs to the test supervisor, a ranker, and that defeating him won't count toward the test. Urek ignores her, pushing further. With his usual mix of arrogance and charm, he even suggests, "If I can catch you, how about counting it as 2 people?" His audacity shocks everyone watching. From the shadows, a sinister figure smirks at the scene, muttering with amusement, "So, a crazy person has come in, huh?" The princess and Urek both turn as the atmosphere grows heavier. The test is about to take a far more dangerous turn. After Urek boldly calls down the test supervisor, the atmosphere shifts dramatically. The ranker finally steps into the arena, towering with overwhelming presence. The announcement echoes, "The test supervisor has entered the arena." The princess of Zahad braces herself, weapon in hand, but even she feels the crushing aura radiating from him. The ranker mocks Urek, sneering that he must be some ignorant fool from a backwater country who doesn't even know what a ranker is. He ridicules Urek further, calling him poor, clueless, and reckless for daring to think he could end the test by defeating him. Facing Urek directly, the ranker coldly lays it out. "So you want to catch and kill me to end the test? You are now the supervisor of the test floor. What do you think?" Urek doesn't flinch. With a calm but sharp expression, he simply asks, "What is that?" The ranker glares, his voice booming as he addresses Urek with disdain. "Kid!" The ranker sneers that such power is only attainable by those with great ability. But then, Urek casually grabs the ranker's attack with his bare hand, a feat that shocks everyone. The ranker is stunned. Urek hasn't even learned to use Shinsu, yet he's overpowering him. His thoughts race. This brat who hasn't even dipped his toes into Shinsu. The battlefield freezes as an announcement echoes. The number of participants has dropped to 200. The game has ended. The princess watches quietly, relieved but conflicted. From a competitor's perspective, having Urek die wouldn't have been so bad. Yet his reckless courage in standing against a ranker intrigues her. He might be useful to her goals later. Meanwhile, the ranker steps back. He tells Urek he's lucky, advising him to approach the tower with humility because it's filled with monsters beyond imagination. Before leaving, he apologizes to the princess for his earlier rudeness. Urek, however, isn't intimidated. Watching the ranker retreat, he mutters with frustration. "I could have taken him down in seconds." The ranker senses Urek's overwhelming presence and bursts out, calling him a crazy bastard. Realizing just how dangerous this so-called regular truly is, As the battle escalates, Urek suddenly feels an unfamiliar surge of power and questions what it is. A masked man intervenes, demanding that he stop. Supervisor Danzon recognizes the newcomer as the General Test Supervisor, a figure of far greater authority. The General Test Supervisor immediately declares the test is over, instructing Danzon to stop wasting time and step down. Danzon obeys, confirming his submission. Soon after, the announcement is made official. The test is over, and all those survived will proceed to the next stage. However, the overseers warn that the coming test will be even more difficult, urging everyone to prepare themselves, directing a pointed warning at one participant in particular. Before departing, Danzon delivers a threatening message. Although the situation was overlooked this time, if anything similar happens again, he will not hesitate to kill even if the offender is a regular. Unfazed by the intimidation, Urek smiles casually and dares him to try. After the test concludes, the story shifts to the floating ship on the test floor, inside the General Test Supervisor's office. The General Supervisor harshly criticizes Danzon for barging into the first test, calling his behavior disgraceful. Danzon bows and apologizes, admitting that he lost his composure after being provoked by a regular, something he had never experienced before. The masked General Supervisor reminds Danzon not to undermine his authority, even in the absence of the floor ruler. Danzon quickly denies any such intent and bows deeply, acknowledging the terrifying reputation the General Supervisor holds. The General Supervisor issues a warning. Such behavior must never happen again. He adds that if a regular provokes Danzon in the future, he must make sure to crush them completely. The threat is laced with chilling authority, and Danzon trembles at the command. Subdued and obedient, Danzon agrees. The supervisor dismisses him with a cold finality. You may go. After dismissing Danzon, the General Test Supervisor turns his attention to a particular file. Urek Mazino. He studies Urek's profile with interest, remarking that it has been a long time since a regular worth paying attention to has appeared. Yet, Urek is shrouded in mystery. He hasn't revealed where he comes from, leading the supervisor to assume he must hail from some underdeveloped place. Meanwhile, the surviving candidates gather in a massive hall. Around 200 people remain. The red-haired warrior is surprised that so many survived and even regrets not narrowing the test further. While he complains, he accidentally bumps into another candidate, sparking a heated exchange. His expressions darkens as he notes the sheer number of people still alive. But then he freezes. His red eyes lock onto someone. Recognition strikes him like lightning. It's you. That person. At the same time, the Red Warrior enthusiastically attaches himself to Urek, calling him Hyung Nim, an honorific respected elder brother. Despite his confusion, Urek accepts his attention, while the red-haired man loudly announces his respect, insisting everyone move aside for his new Hyung Nim. The regulars gathered as an announcement echoes. Welcome, regulars. Congratulations on surviving the first test. A woman steps forward, introducing herself as the new supervisor. With horns on her head and striking presence, she declares her name, Gisli. Urek notes her arrival with mild disinterest, comparing her to the intimidating General Test Supervisor he encountered earlier. Though she is strong, she lacks that same overwhelming pressure. Gisli explains the next stage. Unlike the chaos of the first test, this one is deceptively simple. To climb the tower, she says, there are two essential principles: cooperation and separation. These qualities are what every climber must master. She elaborates. A moment ago, the regulars had been fighting and killing each other for survival. Now, they must learn to set aside and work together. From this point on, each participant must form teams of 3. The rules are clear. Become close enough to rely on one another, but not so close that betrayal is impossible. Channeling a surge of ominous power, Gisli emphasizes the lesson once again. The real key to climbing the tower lies in balancing cooperation and separation. With her hands glowing in ominous purple light, Gisli announces the start of the next game. It is none other than the traditional team choice game. The rules are deceptively simple. Each participant must chant the phrase, "Flip it or leave it at that," while choosing with their hand. The strange game begins with blooming voices echoing across the hall. One muscular beast-like participant shouts the chant with great intensity, his enormous hand dentched tight. The chant continues, "Flip it," followed by, "Or leave it at that." The participants' voices resound, the rules of the odd ritual slowly sinking in. The bizarre nature of the game stuns many, but it becomes clear this is how they will be forced to determine their teammates. Somewhere else, during the middle of another test, the scene shifts to a rocky field. A blonde youth in a tracksuit casually sits atop a boulder, glowing with a faint blue energy. With a flick of his hand, he launches a devastating blast of power at an opponent, striking them with overwhelming force. The victim crashes to the ground, blood spraying as they collapse with a pained cry. Hovering nearby, a calm figure watches the scene unfold. He questions the blonde youth. "Aren't you being a little reckless, killing them like that?" The blonde turns his head in surprise, then recognizes the man. "Oh, when did you get here, Rehab?" he asks casually. Rehab, silent and imposing in his dark attire and mask, doesn't respond immediately. Instead, he inquires about the state of the current group of regulars. The blonde shrugs it off, unconcerned. He just focuses on the broken, bloodied body of the opponent lying motionless on the ground. Rahab, after a brief pause, gives his cold assessment. They're no big deal. None of them. The regulars were confronted by a strange challenge. A mechanical hand extends and a voice said, "Flip it or leave it at that." The group is bewildered, not knowing what's happening. One of them, more experienced, scoffs at their ignorance and calls them boring for not knowing the game Didenchi. He explains that Didenchi is a way to decide sides. Players place their palms either upward or downward. Those who choose the same position end up on the same team, while the others become opponents. The game is simple, but it creates an unpredictable division of allies and enemies. One of the men, eager to be on his Hyunnim's side, asks him to reveal in advance whether he will place his palm up or down. But instead of agreeing, Hyunnim coldly dismisses him, questioning why he would ever team up with him. Just as the players thought they understood the rules of Didenchi, the mysterious woman overseeing the game interrupts, revealing that things won't be simple. She explains that while Didenchi is usually just about turning hands up or down to form teams, this version has been modified. The twist: the players won't be deciding purely among themselves. Instead, they will play alongside Mr. Goat, a strange, eerie goat-headed figure standing behind her. His hands, one palm up and the other down, set the standard for the game. The woman demonstrates. If the players' palms match the orientation of Mr. Goat's hands, they succeed for that round. Everyone must mimic the chant and gestures of Mr. Goat, and those who fail to follow correctly will be considered failures. She declares that the rules have been explained enough. As the saying goes, seeing is believing. Let's start the first game right now. The tension rises as the contestants realize they're about to face the real Didenchi, with deadly consequences likely waiting for anyone who fails. Mr. Goat takes the center stage, his bizarre eyes flashing with manic energy as he bellows for everyone to get ready. The room falls tense, the crowd of 200 waiting for his signal. Then, with a crazed expression, he declares the start of the game. The chant begins. This is the game of Didenchi. Flip it or leave it at that. His massive hands flip with starting speed, each motion demanding the players mirror him exactly. The contestants are shocked. The pace is blindingly fast, far beyond what they expected. Panic sets in as many struggle to keep up. It's fast. Too fast. Several cry out, their eyes wide, fear and disbelief. When the round ends, the reality of the challenge sets in. Out of 200 participants, only 24 people manage to follow Mr. Goat's movements correctly. The rest have already failed. Amidst the chaos of elimination, some of the strongest contenders, like Urek, easily pass the test. While others panic about how impossible the speed was, he brushes it off as if it were nothing, stunning those around him. The rule twist is then revealed. Those who pass the round gain the right to choose their teammates. But this isn't just about picking allies from the survivors. Instead, they must choose from the pool of those who failed against Mr. Goat. In other words, success doesn't just guarantee safety, it grants power over others' fates. The atmosphere shifts as people realize what this means. Among the successful, a girl named Evelyn wastes no time. She boldly raises her hand, declaring she will choose first. All eyes fall on her, surprised by her decisiveness. The spotlight narrows. Who will she pick? The eliminated wait nervously, hoping not to be discarded. One boy, wide-eyed, wonders if he'll be chosen as her partner. Evelyn looks at him with calm determination, about to make her choice. Evelyn, having earned the right to pick, shocks everyone by choosing not the boy who hoped she would, but another participant whose skills she admired from the previous test. The boy left behind feels the sting of rejection. Deep down, he admits to himself that he already knew Evelyn would never pick him, but it doesn't make the disappointment hurt any less. The chosen pair then step forward to begin their own round of Didenchi. Evelyn sings the chant calmly, almost playfully, while her new teammate mirrors her movement. The boy struggles to keep up, fumbling as Evelyn maintains her flawless rhythm. "Why so fast?" he burst out in panic. Evelyn, however, only looks him with thinly veiled disappointment. She had expected him to be useful, but he's already proving to be a liability. With a chilling smile, Evelyn delivers her verdict. "I don't want to be on the same team with someone who can't even keep up with this." Evelyn's cunning is revealed to be no accident. Observes note that as a member of one of the 10 families, she has a sharp understanding of the tower's twisted rules. To her, this isn't just a game, it's a strategy. Her chosen partner, however, struggles badly. He panics as the pace of Didenchi overwhelms him, falling to keep up. The game's cruel judgment follows instantly. You two have failed to become teammates. The punishment is swift and merciless. The boy is seized and dragged toward Mr. Goat, the grotesque executioner of this test. With its massive hands and a crazed expression, Mr. Goat prepares to devour him. The terrified contestant screams that no such consequence had been explained, that the rules were unfair. But his protest fell on deaf ears. The announcer clarifies coldly, anyone who fails is sacrificed to Mr. Goat. The monstrous goat looms over him, saliva dripping, as the boy is pulled closer to his doom. The crowd watches as Evelyn calmly processes this, realizing that beneath the teamwork theme, this game is just as ruthless as the first. One by one, those who passed begin choosing partners from among the failures. Fear spreads quickly. No one wants to be discarded and fed to Mr. Goat. Some plead desperately to be picked, while others promise loyalty chosen. A blond man in a waiter's vest takes a darker approach. With an unsettling calm, he asks, then who he should kill. In the middle of the chaos, eyes turn toward one particular figure, the quiet young man in the gray hoodie, Urek Mazino. His calm, unreadable expression stands in sharp contrast to the panic around him. He steps forward, pointing to the guy with brown hair that they will play the game. The guy was shocked. The red-haired man is caught off guard when Urek points at him directly, asking if he really wanted to play together. Stammering, he calls him Hyungnim in surprise, almost unsure if he heard correctly. Urek presses him, reminding him that he was the one who suggested teaming up in the first place. Cornered by his own words, the red-haired man hesitates, admitting he did want to. But now he's unsure. His reluctance doesn't last long. The rules are made brutally clear. Anyone who refuses to play automatically becomes Mr. Goat's sacrifice. The terrifying thought wipes the hesitation from his face. Trembling, he shouts, I'll do it!" Sweating, he mutters under his breath. He knows he has no choice. Inside, panic builds as he realizes he's up against someone far beyond his level. Urek, calm as ever, steps closer. His words fall like a hammer. This is the game of Didenchi. Flip it or leave it at that. Before the red-haired man can react, Urek cuts him off, adding with a smirk, "A man always goes in front, right?" The red-haired man freezes, eyes wide in shock. He realizes he's being pushed straight into the fire, forced to make the first move in a deadly game where even the smallest mistake could cost him his life. The red-haired man stood tense, his movements stiff with hesitation, while Urek remained calm and collected. The game demanded synchronization, and every second carried the weight of life or death. When the rhythm reached its peak, both raised their hands. For an instant, doubt filled the air, but the results revealed perfect alignment. Their gestures matched flawlessly, sparing them from immediate failure. Relief and disbelief washed over the red-haired man as he realized the risk his partner had taken. Despite knowing little about each other, Urek had chosen to trust in the moment, binding their fates together. Despite the danger of the game, a moment of clarity emerged. Urek figure revealed his reasoning, admitting that his choice was made because he believed in the bond of trust. His confidence and calmness contrasted sharply with the red-haired man's doubt. Hearing this, the red-haired man's hardened resolve began to soften. He realizes that, just as he had been trusted, he too needed to give his trust in return. A fragile but genuine sense of partnership began to form between them. In a sudden burst of defiance, the red-haired man shouted at the creature, stopping its advance with conviction. He declared their unity, demanding that the trial acknowledge them as one. His cry echoed through the arena, a declaration not just of survival, but of solidarity. For the first time, the two stood together, not as strangers, but as allies bound by trust. Their declaration as a team reshaped the battlefield, turning a gamble of betrayal into the beginning of true friendship. The red-haired man dropped to his knees, bowing deeply in front of his partner. Humbled and emotional, expressed his gratitude, acknowledging that outside of the tower, he had been a nobody. The chance to climb was a miracle to him, and the trust shown to him in this deadly game was something he swore never to forget. With fierce determination, he vowed never to betray the bond they had formed, no matter how far their journey carried them. Though his loyalty was clear, Urek, calm and almost amused, reminded him of the age difference, suggesting he address him differently. The moment, charged with intensity, shifted into awkward humor as the red-haired man stumbled over the request, flustered but eager to comply. Together, they looked toward the future, ready to gather stronger allies to build a formidable team. But when they sought to expand their group, not everyone welcomed the idea. One woman in red bluntly declared that their team had already fallen short, dismissing their potential and judging their level as weak from the start. The atmosphere of hope was abruptly cut by the cold reality of the test's outcome. The woman overseeing the game stepped forward and announced the results with a chilling smile. The first game had ended. Out of hundreds who had entered, only 7 participants had successfully formed a team. With the first game concluded, the next stage was immediately announced. The structure shifted. From this point on, each team would send only one single representative to participate. The pressure tightened, as every decision now carried the weight of the entire team's survival. Miss Goat returned to the center, his grotesque form radiating unsettling energy. His voice rose in its haunting chant, marking the start of another round of Didenchi. His hands spun in a blur, flipping with impossible speed. Mechanical arms whirred and clashes as they displayed countless hand signs in rapid succession, overwhelming the eyes of those trying to follow. The contestants looked on in shock, their faces pale. A new rule had been added, one that complicated the game even further. The slightest mistakes meant immediate failure, and the consequences were as brutal as before. Then came the most terrifying twist yet, Mr. Goat's final motion. Instead of raising one hand up and the other down, he held both perfectly balanced, palms flat in the middle. The room erupted in disbelief. Urek intentionally failed during the round, revealing it was part of the strategy to avoid drawing attention. By appearing weaker, he and his teammate lowered the chance of being challenged, since stronger players would now be seen as bigger targets. The goat confirmed this logic, noting that unnecessary success only forced players into the spotlight. While his partner felt reassured, Urek cautioned that reckless individuals could still disrupt their plan, reminding him that unpredictability was always a factor in the tower. A woman in red approaches Urek, recognizing him from the previous game by the accessory he wears. She reveals herself as a princess of Zahad and boldly challenges him, asking to play together. Though her intentions seem dangerous, she clarifies that she wants to form a team with him, unless, of course, he loses. Her words make clear she is both testing him and offering an alliance, one that could shift the balance of the game. The Princess of Zahad's sudden challenge shocks everyone. Her boldness makes it clear she isn't afraid of risking conflict, and her presence raises the stakes of the game. Urek recognizes her dangerous determination, realizing she isn't here to play cautiously. She's here to target someone directly. The red-haired man urges Urek to seize the princess's offer, but Urek refuses, saying he already has someone in mind. The princess presses him, questioning his choice, but he dismisses the matter calmly. Surprised yet unfazed, she insists on teaming up and demands they start immediately. Urek calls her stubborn, warning her about the dangers of sacrifice, but she responds firmly, declaring she would rather die than submit. Her determination reveals her true resolve, leaving him momentarily taken aback. Urek reminds the princess to give her full effort in the game, warning that her life depends on her focus. As the round begins, the players chant the rules of Didenchi, palms flipping in rhythm. With sharp determination, Urek makes his choice, and when the results are revealed, he and his partner win. The princess, however, finds herself rejected. Despite her bold approach, Urek firmly decides that he will not team up with her. The moment shocks the onlookers, leaving tension hanging in the air as others react with disbelief. The shocking outcome unfolds as the Princess of Zahard fails the game. Mr. Goat lunges, seizing her without hesitation. Despite her status, she is powerless before the rules of the tower. In front of horrified onlookers, the monstrous creature devours her, blood marking the brutal results. The crowd recoils in disbelief, unable to process that a Princess of Zahard, someone meant to embody power and authority, could be eliminated so quickly. The announcement confirms it. She has been eaten by Mr. Goat during only the second game. The shocking death of Princess leaves the arena in confusion. Contestants whisper in disbelief, questioning how someone of her status could fall so quickly in a test meant for regulars. Amid murmurs, Urek draws attention by choosing a seemingly weak boy who had been trying to avoid notice. His decision baffles his companion, who can't understand why he would pass over stronger candidates. Yet Urek insists there is something unusual about the boy. He explains that the boy gives off the same faint, salty scent he noticed upon first arriving in this place, a sign, he believes, that there's more to him than meets the eye. Urek shocks his companion by rejecting an alliance with Zahard's princess, relying only on instinct to choose someone else. His calm confirmation frustrates those around him, especially when he reveals he doesn't even know who Zahard is. This revelation leaves his allies stunned, realizing the man is ignorant of the tower's king and the significance of Zahard's princesses. As the truth sinks in, Urek shows no hesitation, even asking if the devoured princess could simply be brought back. Instead, he declares that he wants to meet this so-called king of the tower directly. He speaks with determination, saying he needs answers about Phantominum and a way out. His companion erupts in frustration, calling him crazy, but Urek remains lighthearted. For him, there's no regret. What's done is done, and his only focus is on the path forward. The goat-headed overseer introduces the Dedenshi game, challenging participants to flip or leave the piece as it is. As the game unfolds, the moves become more deceptive, with the goat even resorting to multiple cheating tricks, making survival increasingly difficult. Despite the unfair odds, 6 contestants manage to succeed and pass the round. Their faces are revealed one by one. Among them is Urek, standing alongside 5 other survivors who managed to withstand the impossible trial. After passing the round, Urek prepares to move forward, while others reflect on the brutal nature of the game. Evelyn, on the other hand, reflects with frustration. She admits she hasn't been able to form a team since the beginning. She realizes the game's true challenge isn't just about eliminating opponents with skill, but about finding someone you can absolutely trust, something nearly impossible in a place where everyone is a stranger and competitor. Nearby, Mr. Liu wrestles with his own doubts, convinced he will fail again. Though others view him as honest and reliable, they dismiss him as too weak to offer a real future in the tower. Evelyn herself, despite finding him trustworthy, rejects the idea of teaming with him for that very reason. Then, breaking the tense silence, Urek calls out to Liu directly. Unlike the others, Urek approaches him without hesitation, surprising everyone by showing genuine interest in talking to him, a move that hints at Urek's unique instincts and disregard for conventional logic. As Urek approaches Liu, Evelyn is shocked, wondering if he truly intends to form a team with someone so underestimated. Liu himself allows in despair, believing he is a nobody, too weak for anyone to consider a threat, yet too useless for anyone to want as an ally. He fears he will fail, be left behind, and be forced to return to the village he came from, a place abandoned by God. But instead of dismissing him, Urek calls out casually. Liu panics, insisting that he's weak and powerless, begging them not to waste their effort trying to eliminate him. Yet Urek cuts through his desperation, telling him bluntly that it isn't the point. To Liu's shock, Urek offers something no one else ever has: to be a team. Before the weight of those words sinks in, Urek adds with his usual boldness, "Let's play a game." His approach, reckless yet sincere, immediately shifts the atmosphere. Evelyn steps forward, extending her hand, a sign that she may be reconsidering Liu's worth, influenced by Urek's unshakable confidence. Tension rises as Evelyn argues with another contestant, insisting she was the one who asked Liu to play first and therefore deserves priority. The dispute grows noisy until the proctor steps in, declaring that the fairest solution is to let Liu himself decide. Faced with the choice between Urek and Evelyn, Lu hesitates, apologizing to the first who approached him. Then, with sudden emotion, he blurts out his decision. He wants to team up with Miss Evelyn. His choice stuns Evelyn, her heart unexpectedly touched by his sincerity. For the first time, she looks at Lu differently, calling his name with genuine surprise. Lu, nervous but determined, swears to Evelyn that he won't move his hands during the game, placing his full trust in her. His sincerity surprises her, while Urek observes with mild curiosity. When asked if they already knew each other, Evelyn admits she didn't choose Lu in the past, yet he still shows no hesitation in trusting her now. Flustered, Evelyn worries that Lu might hold grudges and trick her, but he quickly blunts out that such a thing is impossible, because he genuinely wants to team up with her. With his emotions spilling over, Lu finally confesses that he really likes Miss Evelyn. His sudden outburst leaves both Evelyn and Urek stunned, the atmosphere turning awkward and heated. Urek, realizing he's lost this round, accepts defeat with surprising calm. He walks off with his teammate, dismissing the situation with a smirk, while Evelyn, cheeks flushes, stands speechless at Lu's bold declaration. After Lu's unexpected confession to Evelyn, Urek walks away unfazed, reflecting that though he gained nothing from the attempt, he still learned something from observing. As the tension settles, another participant steps forward. The long-haired man steps up and introduces himself as Neo. Calm and composed, he admits he isn't as powerful as Urek, but still declares his own strength with quiet confidence. His presence makes an impression, his poise contrasting Urek's brash nature. The red-haired man acknowledges Neo's potential, noting that while few here can stand up to Urek, Neo carries himself differently. He hints at something beyond sheer power, setting Neo apart as a rival who may prove dangerous in another way. As Neo steps forward, his calm words take on a sharp edge. He admits he isn't sure he can trust Urek, though he recognizes Urek's strength. With a sly smile, Neo calls himself untrustworthy, but promises at least not to stand in Urek's way and not his target. Yet as he gets closer, he senses something unusual, a faintly familiar presence, a scent similar to Lu's. This revelation unsettles him for a moment, making him wonder about Neo's true nature. Despite his suspicion, Urek extends the offer to team up, telling Neo to go ahead if he can follow. Neo listens in silence, his piercing blue eyes hinting at hidden motives. That uneasy alliance between raw strength and quiet mystery begins to take form. The countdown reaches its end, and the host announces that the allotted time is over, officially concluding the team selection game. A total of 10 teams are declared, with those who failed to join, one eliminated on the spot, while the successful participants advance to the next round. Among them, Lu proudly stands beside Evelyn, while Urek ends up in an uneasy alliance with Neo. Yet when the announcement claims there are 10 teams, suspicion rises. Urek immediately points out that there are actually only 9, exposing the lie. The focus shifts to the strange beast, Mr. Goat, whose eyes flash ominously. Suddenly, blood spills, and the declaration is made. The deathmatch inside Mr. Goat is over. From within Mr. Goat's deathmatch, 3 survivors emerge alive. By default, they are automatically teamed together and granted passage to the next test. Among them is Princess Rani Zahar, revealed through the glow of her violet eyes and the aura of possession she wields. Her spiritual technique astonishes even the overseers, who remark on the incredible power she demonstrated. It becomes clear that they had been warned and had prepared countermeasures, relying on her possession skill to endure even after being devoured. Rani challenges the fairness of the rules, asking if changes were made just for her sake. The response is sly. The game had been arranged in advance, and the conditions technically remain unbroken. Cloaked in laughter, the hosts assure her that this is all fair play. The hosts reveal a cruel twist. The 3 unofficial survivors, now nicknamed Cuckoos, must personally eliminate one contestant who legitimately advanced before they can continue. Princess Rani Zahad accepts this rule coldly, but inside she seethes. Humiliated by what happened inside Mr. Goat, she vows revenge. Rani swears she will make the man who humiliated her fail the next test, unable to forgive him for rejecting her and putting her through such disgrace. The announcement declares the second test has concluded, confirming 30 regulars have been selected. Supervisors are instructed to prepare for their arrival and the start of the next trial. The next challenge is revealed, the infamous crown game. Excitement builds among supervisors, some even calling it fun, as they prepare to welcome the surviving regulars into this dangerous new stage. The surviving regulars are transported to a massive floating ship, where the next stages of testing will take place. Many are awed, some are excited just to experience being on such a vessel. Suddenly, a group of imposing figures arrives, drawing everyone's attention. These are revealed to be the test supervisors. Among them, the masked man steps forward and introduces himself as Rahab, the general test supervisor. He welcomes the survivors, acknowledging them as regulars who have endured and passed the tower's harsh trials so far. Rahab declares that the regulars have proven themselves worthy to be here. From now on, they will travel aboard a cruise-class floating ship, moving across the test floor while facing trials. Only those who pass the final test at the ship's destination will become true regulars, gaining the chance to climb the tower. He promises wealth, honor, power, and strength. Even the possibility of reaching the same glory as King Zahard and the 10 family leaders. The regulars officially board the cruise ship. A muscular man greets them with booming energy, introducing himself as Danzon, their new supervisor. He explains that on the ship, they will undergo position training, preparing each regular for a specific role in the future tests. Each trainee will be evaluated at the end of the training period, with top performers gaining benefits, while those deemed weak will be eliminated regardless of passing the tests. This shocks the group. They realize that even success in a trial may not guarantee survival. Urek doesn't understand about the positioning. Neo explains about it, rolls after the original 10 family leaders who climbed the tower. Scout observes enemy movements on the front lines. Lighthouse Bearer controls the battlefield from the rear. Spear Bearer works with support attack enemies from afar. Wave Controller manipulates Shinsu, wielding destructive power. And last, the Fisherman, Solidarity Fighter who hunts enemies directly. Though there are many more, these 5 are core combat roles. Some regulars, unfamiliar with the basics, reveal their inexperience. Finally, Danzon announces it is time to introduce the supervisors who will oversee their training. Baskerville, Master of the Wave Controller. Fredra, Master of the Lighthouse Bearer. Gisli, Master of the Scout. Heidi, Master of the Spear Bearer. And finally, Danzon himself, revealed as the Master of the Fisherman. The group notes Danzon is by far the loudest presence in the room, with his shouting echoing everywhere. Some regulars joke about his name, calling him Kim Nada as a pun. The trainee receive their roles. Urek is assigned as a fisherman, while his teammates fall into different positions. One becomes a spear bearer and another a wave controller. Though split apart, they agree it's better this way since they won't compete directly. With resolve, they encourage each other to survive. Urek heads to the fisherman position practice room, where Danzon takes in charge. Loud as ever, he declares that among all roles, the fisherman position stands above the rest, setting the tone for harsh training ahead. Danzon declares the fisherman position as the role of the strongest regulars, leaving no room for the weak. His power erupts like a storm, overwhelming the trainees with sheer force. Unlike the other positions, which only have a brief orientation, Danzon announces that fishermen will face an entrance test immediately. Anyone who fails must pack up and leave the test site. The regulars murmur in frustration, realizing they're stuck with an overbearing instructor. But before they can dwell on it, Danzon roars with excitement, signaling the brutal test is about to begin. Danzon doesn't explain the rules of the entrance test and simply demands the trainees face him one by one. The first regular to step up is a confident man who insists on always first. Danzon orders him to pick up a satba, a strange cloth belt. As soon as he wears it, the saba moves on its own, tightening around him. Confused, he struggles and complains it's uncomfortable to even walk with it. The first challenger reluctantly steps forward with the satba tied around him, embarrassed by how awkward it feels. Danzon drags him in, showing him where to grip the belt. Then, locking against him, Danzon demonstrates the proper fisherman stance, pressing close while holding each other's satba. With a booming voice, he orders everyone to watch carefully. "This is the position," he shouts, throwing the regular around to prove his point. The test is simple. They must fight while locked in this grappling stance, legs braced and strength focused. To Danzon, this is the true foundation of fishermen. Danzon brutally slams the first challenger into the ground, declaring that if a regular's back touches the Shinsu floor, it means defeat. The trainees are stunned by his overwhelming strength. One whispers that a ranker treats people like paper, while another marvels at his sheer power. Fear spreads among the group. Danzon, cracking his knuckles, roars for the next challenger. but no one dares to step forward. Seeing her hesitation, he announces a rule. The first 3 challengers will be given a second chance. Encouraged, the timid regulars muster their courage. A beastman shouts that he'll go. A nervous girl joins in, and others realize it's safer to try now rather than later. While some regulars gather courage to challenge Danzon, others hang back. One black-haired regular in a vest tells Urek he won't participate, saying he refuses to play along with the rigid ranking system. His indifference confuses the others, who quietly label him weirdo. Meanwhile, inside the crew's engine room, the 3 unofficial entrants, the so-called cuckoos, infiltrate undetected. Their leader, Princess Rani, confirms their first step is a success. She explains the rule. Every regular was issued a ticket. If they steal one and survive past midnight, the ticket will transfer ownership, granting them official status. She orders the team to split up and find their targets. The blonde princess sets her sights on the greatest prize of all, Urek Mazino's ticket. Remembering he was once a fisherman, she steels herself, vowing that somehow she will claim his ticket tonight. Back at the training arena, Danzon continues his brutal demonstrations. 2 challengers rush him, but are immediately crushed, their defeat almost instantaneous. The observers are shaken, noting how his stance was unmovable, as if his legs were rooted deep into the Shinsu itself. Danzon scolds the fallen challengers harshly and calls for the next opponent. One regular retreats in shame, while a girl with a short blue hair struggles to get up. Danzon orders her to leave the field, but she winces, apologizing that her legs won't move. Something is wrong, and she's paralyzed in place. Danzon coldly declares that weak people don't belong here, his crimson eyes glowing with disdain. Just as she trembles under his pressure, Urek steps in. He orders her to stand up on her own, then helps her to her feet despite Danzon's glare. When Danzon recognizes him, his eyes narrow. Urek smiles confidently and escorts the girl off the field, reassuring her. She thanks him quietly, leaning on his strength. Once she is safe, he steps forward, removes his shirt and shoes, and faces Danzon with calm resolve. With a fearless grin, he asks, "Should we start?" His presence electrifies the air. This fight will not be like the others. Urek steps into the water, his eyes locked on Danzon. In his mind, he acknowledges that he isn't just here to fight. He needs to uncover the mysterious power Danzon used earlier. The force that made him seem immovable, like he was rooted in Shinsu itself. Danzon narrows his glowing eyes, recognizing his challenger's intent. He growls that since he revealed the strength of this place first, it's only fair that the boy shows his own. Suddenly, fiery energy bursts around Urek, his body crackling with lightning and flame. With a grin, he declares he'll reveal something beyond imagination. The power of outside the tower.